Welcome to the Generational Workshop. Today we're working on Project Betsy. This is my wife's 1956 Chevy truck. Originally it was two-wheel drive, but my wife loves big four-wheel drive trucks, so we have converted this thing to four-wheel drive. It is a 1-ton axles, front and rear. It's got a Dana 44 in the front and a GM14 bolt in the back. It uses all square body suspension underneath it. I got the factory brackets, which have been welded to the frame, and factory leaf. So if ever we want to go higher or lower, we can always change it. Gas tank is out of a G30 van. Fits real nice up into it and stays under the bed. The frame has been strengthened dramatically. Basically what I did was I took the original C rails, cut everything off of it, and then put the cross members in. They actually go from C channel to C channel, and then boxed everything around it. She does plan on doing a lot of off-roading with this thing, so I want to make sure that it's strong enough for her. We've got the interior somewhat done. We have painted the interior, started our dynamatting, did the door panels, and did the headliner on it. She's going with a green on the outside and a silver on the inside. Other things that we've done to this frame is I've strengthened up the front dramatically. It now has a giant cross member in the front that squares up the whole front end. The reason I did this is because I plan in the future to be able to bolt a winch to the frame and have it coming out the front. This way she can get herself pulled out of everything. My wife has helped me a lot on this truck. I told her when she wanted to do this that if she wanted a truck, she had to do some of the work. So she has sanded the whole body down. She's ground the whole frame down, cleaned everything, and keeps working on it. She did the interior. She did everything. She loves working side by side with me to do the stuff. When there's certain things that she can't do, like she didn't really want to try laying the door panels on or the headliner on, so I did it. There's a couple things I have to go through and clean up, but it's going to be a daily truck. We're not building a $100,000 show truck. We're building a truck that she wants to drive and go get dirty in. But today what we're working on is we are working on brake lines. A lot of people don't like doing brake lines. I understand why. As long as you remember to do it one step at a time, everything is easy. I've already ran the back half of it. I run bulkheads through the frame so I can come out with lines straight down to the axle. But I'm running the lines as high up as I can because my wife plans to go mud bogging in this thing. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you what we're going to do with the front. I have the master cylinder mounted in the factory location. I want it under the car because if it's on top of the car on the firewall like most stuff, we spent a lot of time straightening the firewall and making it nice and smooth. So we wanted to keep it down here. So these are the bulkheads that go through the frame. That'll have our brake hoses attached going down to our calipers. So I need to run both fittings to the master cylinder. And they will be on this crossbar. I'm going to run my T them in here, run it down and around and in to the front port. Now, I am using proportion valves. Most of the times you don't have to use proportion valves because the master cylinder is sitting up high. When the master cylinder is sitting lower or more to the same height of the axles, you want to run a proportion valve to keep pressure in the line. They should always be as close as they can to the master cylinder because what these do is, these are 2s, this is a 10-pounder. What these do is they keep 10 pounds of brake pressure on the brakes at all time. So when you do apply the brakes, you don't have to get that extra 10 pounds. There are residual valves that are built into master cylinders, but they're very low rated. 10 pounds for drum brakes, 2 pounds for disc brakes. And since we're running the discs in the front, we will be using a 2-pounder in the front. So let's start bending up some lines. So bending brake lines, you only need a couple tools. You need a good set of benders, which I like the small radius benders because it gives me nice tighter turns instead of the plastic one which has like a 2-inch wide radius. I like tighter radiuses. They just turn into cleaner lines. That, you need a Sharpie and of course your brake line. So you have to, basically at this point, you have to start imagining where you want your lines to be. I always use straight brake line. I don't like to take the curved ones and try to straighten it out. I like some nice straight lines for it. So this one is coming off of our master cylinder. So basically what I'm gonna do is I have to bend it about 2 inches out so I can get to the frame. Then we're gonna go up at a 45 towards the other residual valve and make a U-turn so I can put the two residual valves next to each other. All right, so here we have our line. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a mark on it. This really doesn't matter at this point, but this is the side I want to have my bend on. Put it into your bender. So that's the side I want my bend on, so I have to match that up with that side. I like to bend at 45 degrees. It just seems to make nice cleaner lines. So we take that, make sure it is all nice and straight, and you just bend it. This is where it gets tedious. Now you walk over to the truck, make sure that is the proper angle, mark it for your next one. Let's do that. Okay, so I marked it. This is where I need to make my next bend. It has to be the opposite of this bend so it makes a nice curve. So we put it back in our bender. That's my mark. You take the mark, you line it up just off center from where the bend is. And since our other bend went this way, we're going to go the other way to make it a nice straight line. Make sure everything is lined up proper. And you bend it. Now we have a nice straight line. We'll go to the frame and make another mark on it. All right, so this is my next mark that I'm going to be doing. And so what it sits on it, the frame like this. And this has to make a U-turn. When you're doing tighter bends, they can be a little more tricky, but it's still just the same thing. You just can't overbend. Like you can't go, if you try to do 180 degrees, you can do it. You just have to unbend it to get it off the tool and then just rebend it a little bit by hand. So this is how it sits. There's our mark. And we're gonna just bend it around. Now we have a problem of my tool's in the way. So what you can do with that is then you just take and flip it around the other way. And continue your bend. So I want this to sit like this in the truck. That looks pretty good to me. All right, so here we have our line that we just bent up. It goes on the mouse cylinder like that. And actually fits pretty well. It needs a couple little tweaks and bends, but we can take care of that. So what I'm going to do next is mark it for my residual valve, which I want to place pretty close to that other one. And we'll continue running them forward. All right, so I made my mark. That's where I want my cut. So these are all just basic little tools you can get at Summit, Jegs, any real good supply store for automotive stuff. So you cut your tubing down. This is a reamer. It takes out, it gives, because right as you see, the hole gets knurled up by the cutter, so you have to straighten that out. If not, you'll have a bad flare. You just give it a couple twists. And then take the other end and you just chamfer the other side of it. Now I am using 37-degree flare brake fittings. It's like military style. They use in a lot of race cars and all that stuff. It's AN stuff. I like using it because it gives me a better sealing surface and it's just easier to work with than a standard inverted flare. All right, so the way that this flaring tool works, it's a big, nice industrial one. It does 37-degree. So first you do is operation 0, which sets it in place. That tells, it comes down and squishes the line and puts it right where it needs to be. Then you tighten up your lever, your clamp on it, nice and tight so it doesn't come out. Go to operation 2 for 37-degree flare on 3/16 line, because that's what we're using. Then you just push the handle and crimp it down. Release your vise. pull out your pin, pull out your line, and we have a 37-degree flare. So what happens there is then the collar goes along the back side of it, and then the nut, and it crushes it all into place. Collar, then the nut, and you're good to go. Now for you astute viewers, you might say that doesn't look like the line he started with. That's because I crimped it wrong, so I had to start over. Mistakes are going to be made. Sometimes I make a line 2 or 3 times before I get it perfect the way I want it bent. Alright, so we have all of our brake lines made. I made them off camera because it's just easier. So we have our master cylinder, brake line going up to our Willwood proportionate residual valve. They have an in and out. That side says master cylinder, that side says out. Comes across, comes out of a T. That line goes that side, and then the other side goes that side. I'm keeping all the lines up and high because she is planning to go mud bogging with it. So I don't want any rock to be able to, like, if it's down underneath the frame, you know, something come up and smash her and she wouldn't have any brake anymore. So brake lines are easy. They're just tedious and you need to take your time with them, but anybody can do them. Coming up in the next couple weeks on the channel, we're going to see Tina get a brand new chassis made, Mega Mower might finally run, and the Apprentice crawl off, which will be an interesting thing to see. Thank you for watching.